Hello, Grumpy Old Fart here. I've been doing a lot of UFO stuff because of the Navy's announcement that UFOs are indeed real. There's other things that are in our archaeological past and our history that now need to be looked at with a different light. Because, according to mainstream archaeology, our ancestors built this stuff. Megalithic sites is what I'm getting at. But the explanations they give for how they built them fall far short of reality. Let's take a look at one of them. It's one of my favorites. I did the H blocks of Pumapunku of Teotihuacan earlier from Bolivia. This one here is in Lebanon, Baalbek, Lebanon. There's a stone there that it was being quarried, and it should have weighed in excess of 1,200 tons. Not 1,200 pounds, 1,200 tons. Possibly there were larger ones underneath it. We're not sure. It's called the Stone of the Pregnant Woman. Now, this site, they've dated it possibly 12,000 years ago. A little bit of history on the site. As far as I know, from what I understand, the Romans came in and found a temple there, a big temple structure, and it had been destroyed, or either they destroyed it or it had been destroyed, I'm not sure which. But the foundation was still there. So they built one of their temples on top of it. So, and this was back during Roman times. So this, excuse me, this structure far predates that. These stones are made of granite, and they're huge. Now, let's get to the temple itself. You had a number of foundation stones, big ones, hundreds and hundreds of tons, and they're set in there perfectly. Somebody brought one of these big megalithic stones in excess of 1,000 tons, brought it over there, lifted it up, and placed it with precision on top of this foundation. Okay? Find me a construction company today that can do that with all of our heavy equipment. Find one. Okay? You're gonna be hard pressed. All right? 12,000 years ago, we didn't have the wheel. We didn't have iron. If they did have metal tools, it was probably copper, something along those lines. I mean, very, very. I mean, nothing that would cut granite. One temple stone. This one temple stone weighs 1,000 tons. It was quarried and moved and put into place. There are two others like it there. They call it the Trilithon. So there's three of these stones like this. They didn't do it once or twice. They did it 3 times. Okay. Now here's the kicker. These particular 3 stones weren't quarried there. They were quarried 1,000 miles away in southern Egypt. Okay? So, these primitive people quarried 3 1,000-ton megalithic blocks of solid granite. Okay? With not much more than their bare hands. Stone implements, that kind of thing. Moved them 1,000 miles and lifted them up and put them in place with precision. Okay. I'm sorry, Mr. Archaeologist. That's asinine. That's just stupid. Okay? Somebody did that, but we have 2 options. One, our ancestors developed a lot faster and had more effective tools than what the archaeologists think. In other words, the archaeologists are wrong. Or those people had help. And I'm not saying, I don't know if it was aliens, I don't know if it was some advanced culture that's since either in hiding or gone from this planet, I don't know. But saying not much more than cavemen did that is asinine. It's stupid. And everybody knows it. Okay? So let's talk about this here. Before the Roman Empire, thousands of years before the Roman Empire, someone quarried 3 1,000-ton stones, moved them 1,000 miles, and positioned them on top of these foundation blocks with precision, and without any modern machinery. Yeah, that's what they expect us to believe. Now, let's talk about this quarry in southern Egypt, rather. It's called the Aswan Quarry, and we know that's where it came from because the geologists have confirmed it. And there is another block there. This is an 1,170-ton obelisk in Aswan. It's in the quarry. Somehow or other, while chipping it out, it cracked. So they couldn't finish it, so they just left it there. Okay? There was a very famous speaker. His name's Lloyd Pye. He died recently. Check out some of his stuff on YouTube. Very, very compelling stuff. He does a lot of stuff on Bigfoot and a few other things. But he had a good question about this. These big obelisks, 1,100-ton obelisks. One, according to mainstream archaeology, they had a piece of, the way they cut this was they cut it with a piece of granite, a rock, and they sit there and pounded on it constantly. Okay, so you've got a bedrock, and you're going to cut this obelisk out, because they're shaped to perfection, mind you, just like you would off of a small piece off of a CNC machine. They're precise. The edges are flat and smooth. They've got nice little carvings on them. The corners are crisp and sharp, 90-degree turns, the whole 9 yards. Now, they did this apparently with a rock. But let's look at this. This is what Lloyd Pye brought up that I found interesting. So, say you outline the shape of this thing, and they got lines of people in there with these rocks, and they're cutting down, right? This piece of granite is still attached to the bedrock underneath. How do you cut the bottom part? Some guy gets under there with a rock. How do you draw the short straw for that? That's asinine. The thing weighs 1,100 plus, 1,170 tons. It boggles the mind how stupid some of these archaeologists think we are. If you're going to cut that off of there, how do you brace up 1,100 tons without metal, without anything? They couldn't use copper to do that. Copper would bend. You can bend copper in your hand. My point is, there's no way primitive people could have done this. There's absolutely no way. Forget moving it. Forget lifting it up and setting it down with precision. How do you cut granite to precision with a smooth surface, sharp lines, exactly, several of them exactly the same shape, without modern machinery, without the wheel, without... it boggles the mind. But yet that's what we're expected to believe. I have my own theories on that. Most of them deal with the fact that every time archaeology says they know something, they end up having to revise it. Because they don't know what they think they know. They're teaching it in schools, but they don't know what they think they know. There's a site in Turkey, I mentioned this in other videos, called Göbekli Tepe. That one religious site, and it's massive. They've been excavating it for a couple decades now. As far as I know, they got, I think, 2 or 3% of the whole thing uncovered. But this thing pushes back the dawn of man 5,000 years. But it's still, that in and of itself still doesn't account for these stones at Baalbek, Lebanon. Okay? It's ridiculous. These are some of the biggest stones on the planet that have been shaped by the hand of man, and we still have no idea how they did it. Call up a construction company, any construction company anywhere in the world, and ask them what it would take to lift a 1,200-ton monolith and place it with precision on top of a foundation. See how loud they laugh at you. Okay? I'm just saying. You folks have a good day. God bless one and all.